Dear students, let us start the discussion on today's newspaper, that is 11th January 2017. The first article, it is in FDI push, center allows 49% foreign ownership in Air India. You know that already 49% of foreign ownership is allowed in airlines industry, but Air India is exempted from that. Now government has relaxed this stand to allow for foreign investments to the tune of 49%. But the management control is supposed to be in an Indian hand. That is what is the clause stated over here. And the most important point over here is this money is supposed to come under the approval route rather than automatic route. Second, single brand retail. 100% FDI is allowed, but it has to be, but it is under automatic route. The most important point over here is this. Local sourcing clause is relaxed. If you see, for the entry of Apple, IKEA in India, the major problem is this local sourcing clause. It means for their production, they have to source their raw material from Indian producers. So in this context, Apple has stated that as its products are high-ended technology intensive, they cannot be procured from local producers of the same quality. That's why they want this local sourcing clause to be removed to establish their direct stores in India. So obviously it has made entry for Apple and IKEA easy in India. That's what we need to remember. Two-tier shield for Aadhaar. Now Aadhaar consists of the entire citizen data, and Aadhaar numbers can be breached. That's what the recently Tribune paper has exposed. Now what the government is doing is, that is UID AI is doing is, it is creating a virtual cover to this Aadhaar. This virtual cover will be changing frequently, and for every transaction there will be a new virtual cover. Because of this virtual identity, so Aadhaar number will never be revealed to the service providers. In that way, security of the Aadhaar number can be ensured. This is what this article talks about. KVs asked to clarify on prayer verses. Remember that under freedom of religion, the state shall not promote any of the religious instructions in the schools. So Kendriya Vidyalayas are managed, owned by the government of India. So any religious instruction over there is violative of the Article 28 of the Constitution that regulates the religious instructions in the schools. And then Supreme Court to form sit to probe anti-Sikh cases. You know, 1984 was a very terrible year in Indian history. So death of Indira Gandhi, anti-Sikh riots, and in response to Operation Blue Star, right? Operation Blue Star, response to this is death of Indira Gandhi, and then anti-Sikh riots. All these are the blot on Indian history, and they reflect the communal divide in India. So till now, the miscarriage of justice to the victims of anti-Sikh riots is a major problem, and Supreme Court is appointing a sit for that. So in this case, can Supreme Court order for these investigations by itself? Can the judges of Supreme Court get involved themselves with investigation? Investigation is not the function of the police. So is this overreach of the judiciary? These are the questions that can be raised under this article. Let's go to the next page now. Let us see the editorial page. Now coming to the editorial page, the map of rural deprivation. Now let's take the social composition of the rural areas. So we have agricultural laborers, land owning class, small marginal farmers and large farmers. And these large farmers, they have the surplus and there is no problem. But small and marginal farmers, as agricultural land holding or land plot size has decreased, the productivity has come down. And agricultural laborers, they have to depend upon manual work. So as the agricultural work itself has decreased, so this manual work is also expected to come down. And second aspect to this is, what is the way out for all these people when there is agricultural distress? That is construction sector. And second is, in the future, the number of people who are going to colleges and schools are bound to increase. And where we shall provide for the employment to them. And this construction sector was booming from 2004, 2005 to 2011, 2012. But after that, there is a slump. Especially banking sector problems has created slump in infrastructure and policy paralysis has added to it. So, unless construction sector is revived, an alternative employment cannot be provided to the rural landless and also small and marginal farmers looking for non-agricultural work. So that's why the author suggests that in this budget, government has to focus on infrastructure. That's what the author's suggestion is. So let's go to the next article, not a criminal act. Now this is about adultery. So marriage and the laws related to marriage shall be the civil acts or civil matters. So it means divorce and adultery also shall be the civil matters. But in India, it is a criminal offense because the Indian Penal Code, which was made by the Britishers, have declared it as a penal offense, and added to that, it has become gender biased. So, two things we need to do now. Adultery shall be decriminalized, and second, gender bias in this have to be removed. So, Law Commission, Malimat Committee, all these have recommended for making gender neutral, adultery gender neutral, but they did not recommend for converting this from a criminal offense to civil offense. So that is what essence of this article is. Not by diktat alone. This article is about nationalism. So how the sense of nationalism has to be given to the minds of the people is through forcible enforcement. Now let us see this discussion. The origin of the state is majorly based on distrust. So minimum delegation from the citizens is the bargain of the citizen with the state. Simply like this. The state has to provide liberty, life and protect the property, and citizen will compromise on his freedoms and autonomy, and he will be under the legal provisions of the state to maintain law and order. This is what is the bargain. So in this bargain, citizen only delegated minimum of his autonomy and freedom to the state. In this context, if the state is trying to impose itself everywhere in every aspect of life, that force can create undue influences on the mind of the citizen. One of the thing is, so now standing up during national anthem is expected and everyone is supposed to follow that. But compulsorily playing national anthem for a movie goer and making him to stand obviously is going to make the nationalism as an object of display. And second thing is, why only movie halls have to implement this? Why can't it be on the other places? There are also incidents that moral policing, vigilantism also have come into existence. So in this context, the Supreme Court has reversed its earlier order and it is a welcome step. Coming to this page, open-end page, prescription for the future. It consists of differences between Medical Council of India, National Medical Commission, which is supposed to be established. So the Medical Council of India is one-stop body for every activity related to medical education, medical ethics are concerned. But now under National Medical Commission, there will be 4 bodies, undergraduate, postgraduate, medical ethics, standards, like that, these are being divided. And second, Medical Council members are appointed through election. NMC is through selection. It will be bureaucratized. So this is where the problem is. If you take UK, etc., independent bodies, professional independent bodies were given the responsibility to appoint members to this council. But in India, now we are giving that to the government to appoint the bureaucrats. To what extent these bureaucrats can understand and run the specialized institution like this is a major question. So that's why author suggests that why can't we give that responsibility to a constitutional body such as UPSC? And third, previously Medical Council exclusively consisted of doctors. Now it is going to consist of the patient right activists too. So it is an important development over here. And the most important responsibility for NMC is to improve the standards of healthcare is one thing. To provide access to healthcare is another thing. Rural-urban gap is a major problem. So in filling this gap, on the rural side, innovation is necessary. If you talk about Mozambique, Thailand, short courses are created in which The informal elements of rural healthcare are trained in modern medicine in standardized practices so that they can deliver or manage the emergencies. So similar kind of courses also need to be brought into India. So in Chhattisgarh, an experiment is done where rural healthcare services with 3 years course was introduced, but it was not successful due to improper implementation. So like that, a course has to be standardized and developed by the National Medical Commission, which is about to come up. That is the author's recommendation here is. Next is, PM sets targets for 115 backward districts. It is the focused approach where previously the responsibility was given to the bureaucracy alone. Now, the politicians, including the ministers, have to prepare an action plan for the development of these backward districts in India. That's what is the Prime Minister's recommendation to them. And then, big BJP victory vital for peace development in Nagaland. So with regard to Nagaland, certain words have been stated over here. Government of India signed a framework agreement with Naga NSCN Isaac Movaya. And yes, government has clearly stated that any solution to the Naga problem shall come within the framework of Constitution of India. So, sovereignty to Nagas was dismissed. That's what the Kiran Rijiju is talking about. And they also used the word shared sovereignty, but what it is, we do not clearly know about it. Maritime focus for India ASEAN. So, especially Southeast Asia, the South China Sea is a bone of contention. In this context, freedom of navigation, protection of international sea lanes, protection against piracy, all these things need to be important. So that's why India is expected to take up a maritime security issue very seriously. That's what this article talks about. Next is, court system is broken. I mean, this all are nonsense with regard to the America, what is going on over there. China to fund base in Afghanistan. So, Xinjiang province in China is suffering from the insurgency and also violence from Uyghur Muslims. So, to fight them, they have got a direct contact or connect with Afghanistan. The China's presence in Afghanistan one way is to protect its interests and also to reduce the violence, to act decisively on the violence in Xinjiang. So in a continuation of this, it is also keeping a base in Afghanistan. That's how we can see it as. The next is, already we have discussed this. Brands from Apple to IKEA seen gaining on retail flip. It is because of relaxation of local sourcing norms. That's the point you need to remember. In the last page, notes is given to you, which will be available to you at laix.in/CivilsPrep. Thank you very much. All the best.